FM dial on KSHB. We're on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch. We're pretty much everywhere. And thank you so much for joining us. Also, the Occupy Democrats Network on the Facebook page as well. Click $5 there. Subscribe. You're supporting this show. It's a cup of coffee, and you get personal interaction with yours truly if you're a fan of the show. And, of course, you'll also be supporting the Occupy Democrats Network. Today is primary day. Yes. And, ladies and gentlemen, Nikki Haley, you can support her today. But guess what? The caucus is Thursday. Trump isn't on the primary ticket. Why? Well, it's very simple, ladies and gentlemen. You have criminals that are running the Republican Party here in the state of Nevada that are fixing it for Donald Trump. There are no delegates that will be awarded today, which means Nikki Haley has no chance. Now, I don't think she has much of a chance anyway, but Mike McDonald, Jesse Law, and those who, in my opinion, are criminals who are part of a fake electorate scheme who were indicted on those charges and pled not guilty are the reasons why the fix is in, and the fix is in for Donald Trump. You literally have criminals that are leading the Republican Party, including the Nevada chair, Ronald Michael McDonald. It is embarrassing. It's a joke. I'm embarrassed that I even live in this state today. I'm embarrassed for the Republican Party, and I'm embarrassed for what they are doing and the threat they are to our democracy. And I said to myself, what better person to talk about this who has been outspoken about this? Of course, right now, I am talking about the former chair of the Nevada, and she will be joining us here in just a few minutes. And I'm going to be talking to her, and she is going to be explaining why she feels that way. And to me, in my personal opinion, it shows where the Republican Party is at, not just in the state of Nevada, but across the country. If you are a MAGA Republican, there are many that are in powerful positions that are basically telling you, we will break the law and do whatever it takes to try to make sure that Donald Trump is the president of the United States in November. We are willing to put together a fake electorate scheme. We are willing to do whatever it takes and throw away democracy to make sure that Donald Trump will be the next president. So, yeah, on this primary day, Trump is the only, by the way, major Nevada caucus candidate that does award delegates. And Haley is in this separate Nevada primary, which awards none. And Trump is not on the ticket today. No delegates awarded. How interesting. State leaders, as we speak, are disfranchising many Republican voters in their service for Trump. And it really is disgusting. And from the Nikki Haley campaign, and I don't blame them, Betsy Ankney said, we've not spent a dime nor an ounce of energy on Nevada. We aren't going to pay $55,000 to a Trump entity to participate in a process that is rigged for Donald Trump. Nevada is not and has not been our focus. And then we have some of these news publications like News 4, only allowed to go to one of 16 GOP caucus locations in Washoe County. And it's also worth noting, media cannot observe the vote counting process, unlike in state-run elections when observers are allowed. I thought that Republicans wanted this to be all out there in the open. Do you remember after the 2020 elections? Republicans were crying to high heaven, it's not fair. I mean, this is a joke. It is an embarrassment to this country. These Republicans that are running the Republican Party in the state of Nevada are an embarrassment. They're criminals, and the fix is in for Donald Trump. And to talk to us about this is the former Nevada Republican chairwoman. Of course, I'm talking about Amy Tarkanian, who joins us right now. Amy, thank you so much for being here. I know this is a busy day for you. I think you were on, if I'm not mistaken, MSNBC earlier today. Is that right?
I was, and I just ran back in the door from voting. So,
okay. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, Amy.
Had to do my civic duty.
Good to see you, Amy. I appreciate you taking the time for coming on. Do you agree with me? I would imagine you do, because you've been pretty outspoken on this, and you were on CNN talking about this, that the fix is in. That's the way you characterize it, and I would agree with you. Can you explain to our listeners here why the fix is in and go into detail of what Mike McDonald and the Republican Party in the state of Nevada, the leadership at least, they're doing?
Sure. So we went from a caucus state to a primary state in 2021. Also added a few new ways of voting, including all mail-in ballots and then ballot harvesting. So our current Secretary of State has done an excellent job, I believe, in making sure that he's revamped these new areas, making sure that everything is safe and secure as possible. He also has a system where you can track your ballot from start to finish. So if there's any concern about your ballot, being intercepted, it's null and void. But the fact that the Nevada Republican Party, that's being led by 6 indicted individuals for being fake electors, that's number one. Number two, we know for a fact that at the beginning of last year, they participated in an invitation-only event to get ready for the upcoming election at Mar-a-Lago, and the fact that the state party chairman himself has been on record saying basically, forget the primary, focus on the caucus. We're going to caucus for Trump and give him all 26 delegates. So they are technically allowed to do this, but by doing so, they decided to bully and threaten the candidates, which is completely wrong. I believe if they really wanted to hold a caucus, then they should just have allowed the candidates to make up their own minds and maybe participate in both. That would have been nice for Nevada Republicans to have that option. But instead, they've chosen to disenfranchise the voter while threatening the candidates, saying that you're going to have to cough up $55,000 each just to participate in our caucus, which is a ludicrous amount of money. And then the fact that they've said you cannot participate in Nevada's state-mandated primary, and if you choose to, you cannot participate in our caucus, which means you will have no opportunity to receive not just one delegate, but any delegate at all, because they're going to withhold that from you. So the fact that you have all of these moving pieces, which are just so plainly obvious that it's a pro-Trump caucus scheme, if he's so far ahead in the polls, like we've all seen across the nation, no matter which polling company it may be, why do you have to worry about hosting a caucus, which the state party has to also not just prepare for, but pay for? And when we already have a very well-ran election system, it's simply this. The chairman also went on social media when we switched from a caucus to a primary and stated that he too was in favor of us switching to a primary. So what's changed? Donald Trump. That's it. Because he hasn't lost Nevada once, but twice. So they want to be able to make sure that they can solidify that win and deliver it to him on a silver platter and say, look, sir, look what we did for you. We're so wonderful. You're so wonderful. Let's all be wonderful together. But in the meantime, they're confusing all the voters. They're angering the voters. Nevada is a state that's a 24/7 economy, and a caucus is outdated and just doesn't work for our state. And usually a caucus is held anywhere from a half day to a whole day. So that way the party devoted can come in, they can have civil discourse, they can debate on their candidate of choice, and then cast their ballots and then leave. And that's also not what they're doing. They're only allowing, I think it's like 2 to 2.5 hour window for everyone to rearrange their schedules and to come and participate. It's asinine.
And, if you're just joining us, Amy Tarkanian, the former Nevada Republican chairwoman, this was your seat. This is what they have done to your party. This was your job. So if you had an opportunity to speak to Mike McDonald today, I'm sure he wouldn't want to speak to you because he's a coward. But if he had to, what would you say to him? I mean, this was your job. And I know, Amy, you would have never allowed this to happen because you have a moral compass. Even though at one point you were a Donald Trump supporter, you still wouldn't have done this. And I know you wouldn't have done this. What would you have said? What would you say to him if you had the opportunity today?
First of all, I wouldn't waste my time talking with him because he takes the opportunity over and over and over and over and over, as from what my friends have told me who are still technically allowed to participate in state party events, to blame me for their massive election losses last election. There's no personal responsibility. There's no personal accountability. There's no, taking a look and a hard look and saying, hey, maybe we need to make some changes, and maybe we need to back some nominees that don't say, hey, that our Black attorney general should hang from an effing crane.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's
Call me
Sigal Chattah.
crazy.
That's
Yeah.
Sigal Chattah, and those two hang around with one another, Mike McDonald and Sigal Chattah. And for those of you that don't know who she is, Amy Tarkanian is 100% right. When she was running for office in the state of Nevada, a Black man who she was running against, who, by the way, defeated her badly, she said when she was running for office against him that she wanted him to be hanging from a crane. And these are some of the people in the Republican Party that are running this state, Amy. I mean, it's embarrassing. I don't even know what other word to use.
It is. And I don't recognize the Republican Party. And that's, I guess that's fine. You would hope the pendulum would swing at some point. It doesn't seem that's the case, though. It seems that everyone who is 100% devoted to the Trump cause is, pretty brainwashed for the most part, and has, their heels digged in to the point where, it's not even just their heels. They're up to their necks almost to now, they might even be embarrassed to say, oh, shoot, I made a mistake and now it's too late to turn around. How do I get out of this mess?
Right.
But, I know some really good people that are still saying, I can't stomach Joe Biden. And so, what do I do? The lesser of two evils. And I don't know which one that is. And they're still considering Trump to some extent, because they're like, well, maybe a bull in a china shop who's got a nasty mouth at least will get the job done and knows how to grab the steering wheel. I mean, it's crazy with what we're having to, choose from right now.
I mean, obviously, I would disagree with them. I know you're a lifelong Republican. I made the mistake and I've been very honest and open about my voting record. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton in 2016. I also didn't vote for Trump. I said I didn't believe in voting for the lesser of two evils. And I know you're not a Hillary fan. I know that.
No.
But I say to myself, I made a mistake, because I don't believe Donald Trump got the job done. I do hear a lot of Republicans make statements like that. I look at January 6th. I look at the dealings of COVID and the miserable F- rating I would give Donald Trump, the way he took coronavirus press conferences and turned them into campaign rallies. Listen, he took over a pretty good economy. That Obama left him. He didn't ruin the economy, but COVID ruined everything. And I put part of that responsibility on Trump. And I understand there's going to be some criticisms for Joe Biden, but let me ask you this now that we're on to Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and let's talk a little bit about the border, Amy, because you have this bill that was put in place, and Republicans helped put this bill in place. In fact, it's a MAGA Republican from Ohio who helped put this bill in place. And now we're hearing rumblings that Trump has told Johnson and some of the others in the GOP, don't pass this bill. Why, Mr. President? Why? Because it'll make me look bad and it'll make Joe Biden look good. I mean, we've heard that from several Republicans like Mitt Romney on the record saying that this is what Trump told us. What do you make of that?
Sure. I've heard the same rumblings that you just mentioned. Now, I have not read the bill. I don't know everything that the bill entails. So I'm sure that there's always good and bad. You've got to be able to work across party aisle in order to get, anything successfully accomplished, right? So from what I understand, that there is some give and take in this bill. And you see on social media, you've got, Senator Sinema from Arizona, who's also backing this. You've got, I think it was even Senator Jackie Rosen. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even Cortez Masto.
Yes.
So if you've got Republicans and Democrats finally breaking bread together, hallelujah. I think it's wonderful. I think it's a great start. So, if it's true, and actually Joe Biden's X account was trolling Donald Trump this morning and showed a clip of Donald Trump saying, hey, in a nutshell, if this doesn't pass, whatever, you can blame me. If it's not successful, blame me. And so, Joe Biden's account basically says, okay, I will. So, I mean, the guy kind of, sticks his own foot in his mouth And I don't know, the bill could be great or it could be garbage. I don't know. But when you talk like that and you know people are going to take snippets of what you're saying, I thought that was really smart of Biden's campaign to do that.
And do you agree with me, Amy, that if Donald Trump picked up the phone today or yesterday or a month ago, whenever, and called Mike Johnson and said, you know what, I changed my mind. This bill's better than nothing. It'll help the country. Let's pass it in a heartbeat. Don't you think Republicans would be passing this bill? They do anything and everything that Trump tells them to do. Would you agree with that for the most part?
Yeah, there's a certain wing for sure, because it's also being spread that MTG, Marjorie Taylor Greene, has also put a threat out to the speaker saying, you know, if you bring this to the floor, I'm going to then bring to the floor, you know, to have you removed. These people are crazy. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it or describe it. You know, you want to look at it, and they always say like compromise is a dirty word, right? Okay, fine. Well, then let's choose another one. How about collaborate? Why don't the Democrats and Republicans collaborate? And this seems to be what they're doing. So if you don't like compromise, let's use the word collaborate. So it seems to me that this bill, they were collaborating. So why kill it? And let's just keep moving forward, because we got to do something.
I agree, but I agree with everything you just said, but it seems to me that if this bill doesn't pass, which it appears as though it won't, Mike Johnson said once it hits his desk, nope.
Yeah. It
appears to me the person to blame for this would be Donald Trump. He has so much power within the Republican Party. They'll do anything he says. And when I hear these Republicans complain about the border, okay, it is a crisis. I agree. Biden hasn't done an A+ job at the border, but this is an issue we've had for many, many years. It is getting worse. Obviously, I would admit that. Here you have Democrats coming to the table saying, okay, we do have a crisis. Let's work with Republicans, which they have. This guy from Ohio, Trump said he was really tough on the border, and he's the guy who put this bill together, and now they're all attacking him. I mean, this is insanity, right? I mean, it's insanity.
It is. But unfortunately, this is one issue. Like you said, this has been going on for a very long time. And I think both sides are to blame. And this is, like you said, this has been both sides for, I don't know how many decades. And it's been used literally just as a political talking point in order for people to get reelected and people to throw dirt at each other, without making any changes, which is unfortunate, because this is scary. You know, you've got people trekking for hundreds, thousands of miles, very dangerous scenarios, given misinformation about what's going to happen when they arrive here, you know, only to be disappointed for the most part, looking for the American dream. And it's overwhelming. And now these places that were once considered sanctuary cities, you know, they can't take care of these people either like they should or like they'd hoped. It's a mess. It's a mess for people who live in the areas, and it's a mess for the people who are traveling in.
Yeah, it is. Amy, this is another part of this, though, that really frustrates me. And I think you'll agree with me on this. The overwhelming majority of these people that are undocumented, they're not violent criminals. But if I hear from the alt-right, they would lead you to believe that, as Trump would say, Mexicans, these rapists, you know, they would lead you to believe that they're going to kidnap your kids and your family. Yes, there is an entity of people crossing the border that are not good people, a small percentage of people that are bad people. Of course, we don't want fentanyl and all these illegal drugs crossing the border. Absolutely. I'm all on board with that. Not every person that crosses the border illegally is the perfect person, right?
Right.
The overwhelming majority of these people are not bad people. And the rhetoric from the far right, it gets me so frustrated.
Sure. But the problem is, Brian, is how do you know that? How do you know that 100%? And that's the problem. And that's where the fear comes, because yes, there are some people who truly just want the American dream. They want to start over for their livelihoods and for their families. But we don't know how many of those people are those good people, and how many of those people are horrible human beings. Because when you look at the video footage, do you see a lot of families coming over? No, not really. There's some. And usually if you're coming from a war-torn area, you'd be, you know, escaping with your grandma, your baby, your auntie, your uncle. And that just doesn't seem to be the case. But I'm not saying, once again, that all these people have bad intentions, but the problem is we don't have the hard facts. And then my friend, Sarah Ashton Cirillo, she was just at the Darien Gap, and and she witnessed it for herself. And then she went into Mexico and actually confirmed that Mexico is harboring Russian spies. So now we're not just talking about,
bad.
South Americans, Mexicans, people who are just trying to cross over, a few hundred miles. We're talking about Russians coming over, Chinese military aged men coming over, through different scenarios, like the Darien Gap and through Venezuela and the Panama Canal. I mean, there is a business also going on amongst these innocent individuals.
Sure, I agree with you. I think there's two sides to the coin here in that. Let's start with, these undocumented immigrants that attacked those police officers in Manhattan. That was an embarrassment for the country. Why? They should not have been released. They should be in jail today and or be deported. That's number one. That is a mistake.
100%.
That can't happen in this country. That was disgusting. If that was you or I, which it never would be, and if we were attacking a police officer like they did, we would be in jail, and rightfully so. And then
and I don't care if you're legal or illegal or wherever you came from. Plain and simple. That's
Absolutely.
Deport or you're staying in jail.
I'm on board with that 150%, and that's an embarrassment. That can't happen. But there is a but there. Per capita in this country, you are more likely to be the victim of a crime from someone who is a legal citizen than someone who is undocumented. And again, I'm not saying everybody who's undocumented is perfect and there's not a criminal element out there. There is. But this rhetoric it's dangerous. There needs to be some middle ground here. Listen, if you're undocumented and you commit a felony while you're in this country, you need to go to jail. And if you ever see the light of day, it can't be in this country. I think that's a very fair position. And what happened in New York is also embarrassing. And that can't happen, right?
No, it can't. But like I said, it doesn't matter if you're legal or illegal at that point. If you're attacking other individuals, and you're hurting our men in blue, especially, and those people are putting their lives on the line for you and I. I mean, they should have never been let go, and they should have, at the blink of an eye, been deported.
Yeah, no question. I wanted to ask you this. You've been the victim of those that are on the far right when you decided to, and we've talked about this before, you decided to back some Democrats as the former Republican chair, not something that one would usually do. I understand why you did it. And then you had people within the Republican Party here that attacked you personally. They attacked you. They attacked, stuff that is just so personal. They attacked you on. I'm not even going to repeat it. You're not the only one, sadly. I mean, for different reasons, of course, but you look at what the Republican Party, the MAGA Republicans have done to somebody like a Liz Cheney, who I do have a lot of respect for, like a Mitt Romney, like an Adam Kinzinger. There are Republicans across the country like yourself that feel like they don't have a home now because if you don't support Donald Trump anymore, which obviously you don't, that they just ostracize you from the party. I mean, you're one of many. I mean, right? I mean, it's unbelievable what the party's turning into now.
Right. And it wasn't just, a handful of folks. Over time, it's been well over, maybe 200-300 that they've removed and that they've replaced with, like-minded groupthink individuals. They just, at the county level in Washoe, removed a county commissioner. And the reason wasn't made clear, and she was actually taken aback, but she's not Trump enough. So they removed her, but get this. So the vice chair of the party that, excommunicated her, so to speak, is also looking to run for her position. Isn't that crazy?
Unbelievable.
And then let's also look at another individual. So there's a friend of mine who's a county commissioner, lifelong Republican, LDS, very well respected in Lincoln County, heavy red county. So he originally endorsed Governor Ron DeSantis. Well, Ron DeSantis is no longer in the running. So he decided to tag along with a few friends who wanted to go to the Trump rally. They wouldn't allow him in the Trump rally. They banned him because he wasn't 110% Trump from the get-go. What are they thinking? This is the weirdest strategy I've ever heard in my entire life.
That's a dictatorship. And
it is.
And Amy, we know mutual friends of ours that you probably know who I'm talking about, who were not allowed to go into the Trump rally, and or some people sneak them in, or they knew somebody. I mean, this is a dictatorship. Now, I will say this, and if you're going to a Joe Biden rally or a Kamala Harris rally, even if you're decked out in MAGA gear, I haven't heard any stories of them. No, you can't be here. Now, obviously, if you're being disruptive, they're going to kick you out.
Sure.
But even if you're not a big Joe Biden supporter, those people are not going to kick you out. You know why? You know, we could all have our criticisms about the Biden administration, but it's not a dictatorship. And Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not wannabe dictators. I do believe Donald Trump is. If you're not all in with Donald Trump, like if you support Ron DeSantis even, you can't be at our rally. That is scary. That's scary.
Yeah. So basically they want you to be a purist. And if you're not a purist, you're not welcome. So what are they planning on doing in the general? Because now what they're doing is they're starting a war. They're angering people who they need to bring back into the fold. And it's not going to happen. So now you're going to look at a bunch of these individuals who they've removed from their party apparatus, probably either stay home or go vote third party, or who knows, maybe they'll have a change of heart, switch party affiliation, and go vote for Biden. I don't know. I can't tell you what the scenario is going to look like, but I can tell you that they're not going to come back into the fold just because they're a registered Republican. These people are being mistreated, and it's disgusting. And, you called me a victim. I'm not a victim. I'm a victor, because I find this to be embarrassing. I would not want to be a part of this whole groupthink that they have put together for themselves. You want to talk about, George Orwell or 1984 and not being able to think for yourself. They're doing it. And they used to say, oh, it's the far left. The far left is, they're so guilty of this. No, you're doing it. You're the one who's doing the groupthink. And so, it's just one thing after another. And I'm just grateful to not be a part of it and that I jumped off the train.
I'm also grateful that there are people like you out there. Obviously, I wish you were still in office. We need more people like you out there. I don't care whether it's a Republican or a Democrat. We need good people. We need good mothers. We need good wives, good husbands, you name it. I want good people in office. And I'm going to tell you, we agree on this. There are some bad people that are running the Republican Party in the state of Nevada, and there are some bad people running the Republican Party nationwide. And, that's just the bottom line.
And their fundraising, their poor fundraising numbers show Ronna McDaniel's done a terrible job. And they had one of the lowest showings in their last quarter. And, but yet you look at everything she spent on, they had no problem spending it on limos and flowers and, getting their makeup and hair done. And it's just, it's gross.
It really is. And it's sad where the Republican Party is at right now. I think the next 7 or 8 months are probably not going to get any better.
No.
But we'll have to wait and see what happens. And we need more people like you out there speaking truth that are Republicans. I think it's really, really important. And hopefully more people like you will speak out. At least I'm hopeful that they will. Amy, it is always a pleasure having you on. Regards to your husband for me. Always appreciate it when you take the time and keep spreading the truth, because that's all we can do out there. And you know how much I respect you and appreciate you. And I always appreciate your time, Amy. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Have a great day.
You too. Amy Tarkanian, everybody. She is the former Nevada Republican chair. These are very strong words from her. Okay. Talking about the Republican Party. And I give her a lot of credit, because it is not easy for her to speak out like this. It's not easy, especially when you're speaking out against MAGA. Her predecessor, for lack of a better term, Mike McDonald, who is now the Nevada Republican chair, is a criminal. He has been indicted, and I know, Brian, it's innocent until proven guilty. Mike McDonald is a criminal. He was part of this fake electorate scheme, and when the FBI asked him questions, he pleaded the fifth. And as Donald Trump would say, if you plead the fifth, you're probably guilty. And how many times has the Trump family pleaded the fifth, ladies and gentlemen? Mike McDonald is a criminal. Those that are in charge of the Nevada Republican Party are criminals in this state. This isn't about having a difference of opinion when it comes to policy. That's not what we are talking about here. I can have differences of opinions with people when it comes to policy. That's fine. This is about criminal activity. This is about fixing an election. This is about fake electorates. I don't care what your opinions are on Joe Biden. I don't care. That's not what this conversation is about. This is about our democracy. This is about the orange man who said he wanted to tear up parts of our Constitution. This is about the orange man who still lies about the 2020 election. He still lies about it. facing 91 felony counts, the liable rapist. That's what this is about. This is about good Republicans and bad Republicans. This is about good people and bad people. This is about logic and ignorance. That's what this is about. If you can't stand Joe Biden and you hate him that much and you hate Democrats that much, that you would vote for a man who is a liable rapist, that you would vote for a man who has attacked our democracy, you would vote for a man who is a beyond criminal narcissist, hasn't been loyal to anybody in his life, especially his wives, ex-wives, that you hate Joe Biden and you hate Democrats that much, that you would still support this despicable human being, then in my opinion, it says a lot about who you are. And it's why I have so much respect for people like the Amy Tarkanians of the world. Not politically convenient, but they speak the truth and they're doing the right thing. If you don't want to vote in the election because you hate Joe Biden that much, so be it. But if you are going to vote for Donald Trump, there are no more excuses, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't 2020 anymore. Oh, I like some of Donald Trump's policies. That doesn't fly anymore because he is going to be a convicted felon, I guarantee you, and I will make a wager with anybody that he will be a convicted felon in a year. I don't know if he's going to go to jail or not. That I don't know. But he is going to be a convicted felon. You are voting in literally a convicted felon, a liable rapist. That is exactly what you are doing. This primary today is a fix, and it's a waste of time for Nikki Haley, and it's a waste of time for Republicans in this state. There are no delegates being awarded today. They will be awarded on Thursday because Donald Trump isn't on the ballot today. You can caucus for Donald Trump on Thursday because the fix is in. The fix is in. And no matter what these Republicans that run this state or run this country will telling you, particularly in Nevada today, the fix is in, ladies and gentlemen. And the Mike McDonalds of the world and those that are in trouble, they want to be pardoned. Why do you think George Santos is campaigning and going to all these stops where Donald Trump is at? Why do you think that? Why do you think that's the case? So, we're going to take some phone calls now, and we're going to take a break first. And I want to know what you think about this. You disagree with me? You don't think the fix is in? I just explained to you why it is. We just had the former Nevada Republican chairwoman, Amy Tarkanian, on this show, who rightfully so is blasting Republican leadership, both nationally and locally. So, if you disagree with me, and for those of you on social media that say I have TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, you have TFS. You have Trump fellatio syndrome. The ones that have TDS are the ones where Donald Trump said, I could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and they would still vote for me. My syndrome is telling the truth. My syndrome is being honest. My syndrome is not being complicit. You're the ones that have Trump derangement syndrome or TFS, Trump fellatio syndrome. But hey, if you think I have Trump derangement syndrome, why don't you call into the show and tell me something that I've said that's incorrect or that you disagree with or something that you claim that I'm lying about. Go ahead, tell me. Tell me why I'm wrong. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm going to give out the number now. 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, here goes. 702-221-7283. And again, that number to call if you'd like to be a part of the program, 702-221-SAVE. Even for those of you that have TFS, also known as Trump fellatio syndrome, you can still call into the show with your Donald Trump knee pads and tell me why you're supporting Donald Trump. You could still tell me why you think Republican leadership nationally and locally here in the state of Nevada is so strong. 702-221-7283. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 90 seconds. You are listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. Did you know that 99% of air conditioning issues start with airflow issues? Well, guess what? Pioneer Air has your back. They've been operating for 20 years in the industry within the Las Vegas area, large enough to handle all your air conditioning and heating needs. but small enough to know your first name. Pioneer Air focuses on preventative care, much like wellness checks for humans. They believe in wellness checks for air conditioning and heating systems to extend the life of the system you own. So what are you waiting for? Schedule your wellness check with Pioneer Air today. The number to call is 702-831-4840. Here's the best news. Mention this ad and you'll receive 10% off. Call Pioneer Air today. 702-831-4840. That number again, 702-831-4840.
My name is Hunter Kane, and I'm talking with you for a call to action for our veterans in Clark County. Who is Hunter Kane? Well, I'm a decorated combat veteran, veteran community leader, and candidate for Clark County Commission. Do you know no veteran has served on the commission in nearly 30 years, which is why our veteran homelessness, unemployment, and suicide rates are out of control. So here's the call to action.
All right, welcome back to the show. It is Pushing the Limits on a Tuesday. Programming note for you. Going to be interviewing a transgender woman coming up in hour number 2, and she's running for office as a Democrat. I'm going to ask her what she thinks about all the rhetoric from the right, that if you're a transgender, that must mean you're mentally ill. That's what Vivek Ramaswamy said. She's going to be joining me. Her name is Eva Chase in hour number 2. We're taking phone calls right now. And it's so funny because there's some people on social media, they'll say, Brian, you need help. Brian, you're a liar. Brian, you have Trump derangement syndrome. And then my response to them is, okay, why don't you tell me why and call into the show and make your case? And there's so many MAGAs across the country that are such cowards. Well, they'll throw things at a wall and hope it sticks, but they're not capable of having a debate or conversation or anything. I get it every single day. Brian, you're a liar. Okay, what am I lying about? I don't know, but you're a liar. Brian, you have Trump derangement syndrome. Oh, okay, well, what did I say that's not true about Donald Trump? I don't know, but you have Trump derangement syndrome. Folks, how do you, you have to be able to have a conversation, and if you can't have a conversation, then I don't know what to tell you. But I've given out the phone number, and I'll give it out again, 702-221-7283. And again, that number, 702-221-SAVE, even though I can't promise I'll save all of you. All right, let's go to the phone lines now. Let's see if some of those people are not cowards and they're willing to call in. Prove me wrong. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Carl. Carl is first up on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Carl?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Yeah, listen, I don't know if your screener told you. I called in the other day and told him he gave you this message from me that, what's her name, Lucy and Big Bob? Is it Lucy? So two of your favorites. What's her first name?
Oh, you're talking
I
about,
forget it.
are you talking about caller Julie? Is that what you'd be referring to?
Julie.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not
That's
Lucy.
all right.
Julie.
Yep.
Julie and Bob. Yeah, I have an associate of mine who's a psychiatrist, and he told me that they're under treatment with him right now. I just wanted to let you. I don't know if he told you that, but anyway.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise
if
me.
Not, they.
Am I
if
wrong?
Not, they
Am I
be.
wrong, Carl? That the fix is in the state of Nevada, at least for now. You have people running the Republican Party in the state of Nevada that are a part of this fake electorate scheme that were already indicted. And this is the leadership of the Republican Party. What an embarrassment! What a bunch of ass clowns these people are.
Yeah,
Mike
well,
McDonald, it's an embarrassment. And the former Nevada Republican chair, who I do have a lot of respect for, Amy Tarkanian, calling out the truth.
Yeah, well, of course, it was proven that these were fraudulent votes they put in.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's already been proven. So they are crooks. They are dishonest, and they are, they're just cultists. Same as a cultist will do anything.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in a cult, I mean, it's the same as you're extremely brainwashed.
Yeah.
When you're in a cult, you have to do whatever the person who is the leader of the cult tells you. And if he says he wants to kill every third Democrat, they'll go along with it. I mean,
well,
it's
Carl. You have my promise on this, Carl. I'm going to be speaking the truth on this show every day. I'm going to call out the nonsense,
good.
And I'm certainly going to do everything in my power to make sure that there's accountability, and that's really all I could do. Carl, I do appreciate your call, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, my friend.
You take care.
You too.
Okay.
702-221-7283. And again, the number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-7283. Let's go to Julie. Julie is back on. Hello, Julie. What's going on, Julie?
Hello. Brian, it's very interesting because the guy before me was talking about me without even personally knowing me. That's very funny. But anyway, I'm going to tell you that you're not lying. The problem with you, Brian, is that you are not well informed.
Okay, so what did I say? Okay, so let's do that. By the way, before we talk about claiming that I am not well informed, you've said a lot of personal things about Joe Biden. Do you know Joe Biden personally?
No, but I have been investigating about Joe Biden.
Okay, well, we're going off. Okay, got you. But you don't know Joe Biden personally, but yet you're allowed to talk about him. So I think if somebody calls into the show, they're going by some of the things that you've said on this show.
But this is not about Joe Biden. This is about what I'm saying to you.
Okay, somebody can call in and have opinions. I can only go by the things you say. Now, you said I'm misinformed. So now when somebody makes a statement like that, I want you to be very specific, and I want you to tell me something I've said on this show today that is not factually accurate. Go ahead.
Okay, but you need to allow me to speak because
you're wasting time.
That I call you,
you're wasting time.
Cut off.
Please answer.
Okay, the bill that is being passed, that it was blocked, is about not a border bill. It is a foreign bill because $16 billion for Ukraine is not for our border.
Okay, so first of all, nothing I said on this show is misinformed. A part of this bill is allocating funds to Ukraine. Another large part of that bill is allocating funds to Israel and the Israeli government, which, by the way, the overwhelming majority of Republicans agree with. Another big part of the bill is immigration reform and more border security and stricter laws being put on the books. So what I said is not misinformed. Wait. You're interrupting me now. You just disagree with the fact that in this bill, a part of the bill is allocating more funds for Ukraine. That doesn't mean I'm misinformed. It means you don't agree with a part of the bill. So don't say that I am misinformed, okay? I'm not misinformed. You just disagree with me. Do you not understand the difference?
The bill has nothing to do with the border.
Okay,
We have to-
Julie,
it-
pot her down,
we
pot
have
her
to-
down, pot her down. When you make a stupid comment like that, that's when I get frustrated with you. When you just say, this bill has nothing to do with the border, you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. I went step by step yesterday with highlights of some of the laws that would change when it comes to the border. A large part of this bill has everything to do with the border, and Republicans and Democrats, Republicans, even those that are tough on the border, sat at the table with Democrats and put this bill together. When you say that this bill has nothing to do with the border, you are the one that is misinformed, not me.
You are doing the same thing to Corinne, and you're doing the same thing to me. The largest part of the bill is for Ukraine.
You
Israel,
just said,
is to
Julie,
fund-
Julie,
is to fund
Julie,
guns,
you just
weapons
said this
for
bill.
wars,
Julie, you can't say
and
things on this
nothing
show.
to do-
Pot her down again. You can't say things on this show that are not true, that are not factually accurate. You just called into this show and said this bill has nothing to do with immigration. And all you do is you keep talking and you don't listen because you're not capable of listening. When you say something on this show that is not true, she's still talking, by the way. When you say something on this show that is not true, I will call you out and I will interrupt you. If you don't like some of the things, pot her down all the way. No, you're not going to finish because you say things that are not true. If you have a disagreement, or if you started this call by saying, you know what, I don't like what's in the bill when it comes to funding Ukraine, that's an opinion. I would disagree with you on it, but that's an opinion. When you say that nothing in this bill has to do with immigration, that's what you just said. You said nothing in this bill has to do with the border. You're blatantly false and you're wrong, and that's like saying the earth is flat. I'm not going to entertain your opinions when you say something that is blatantly, factually inaccurate. What part of, and she's still talking. What, okay, so let's try to start from square one, Julie.
Brian.
Julie, don't Brian me. Julie, let's start from square one. I'm going to ask you a question now, and I'm going to see if you can maybe retract what you just said. Is it true, Julie, that even though you might not agree with some of the things in this bill, that there are some things in related to immigration and immigration reform in this bill? You said nothing in this bill regards to immigration and the border. Would you like to retract
protect
what,
the border.
Julie? Would you like to,
protect the border.
Julie? Listen to the
No,
question,
to
Julie.
allow more
Julie,
illegal jobs.
Julie, you're not
They want
listening.
5,000
Pot her down again.
illegals
Boy, this
daily.
woman is so crazy. It's just unbelievable. Julie, I'm trying to reason with you, Julie. You don't listen to the question, so I'm going to ask it again. And if you don't answer the question, we're going to move on. Julie, stop talking. Julie, are you capable? Julie, are you capable of listening for 10 seconds to a question? Yes or no? All right, have a nice day, Julie. You waste my time, and I'm seriously considering not taking your calls anymore because you are completely a waste of my time, Julie. You are completely a waste of my time. 702-221-7283. Let's go to TK. TK is next on Pushing the Limits. Hi, TK.
Hey, how are you doing today, Brian?
I'm doing all right, TK. Thanks for calling in.
Listen, the reason why I was calling in had everything to do with what you and Amy were discussing earlier pertaining to the Nevada GOP. And I wanted to say, as you know, I was one of the persons that they would not let in. And it happened to get overridden due to the fact of the other person that I was with who used to put these rallies together. And I agree with everything that Amy Tarkanian has to say and what you've been saying to bring the truth out. And it's not easy when you are dealing with people like the state chair, the county chair, because they have their objective, and that is to get Trump reelected. And having been a Trump supporter in 2016 and 2020, it's difficult going into this campaign cycle knowing what I know that has occurred within the state of Nevada.
Yeah, it's very troubling. This isn't about having different policy disagreements or, Republican and Democratic values. This is just about right and wrong. It's about criminals that are running the Republican Party in the state of Nevada, criminals that are running the country on the Republican side of things, noisemakers, not lawmakers, complete fools like Jim Jordan, who's never passed a bill in his life, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who are more interested in showing Hunter Biden's genitalia than actually passing bills that actually work. And if Donald Trump and the Republicans really cared about the border, if Donald Trump, which he doesn't, by the way, then they would pass this bill. Everything in it is not perfect. Democrats and Republicans aren't getting everything they want. But this bill was compromised with Democrats and MAGA Republicans. And Donald Trump doesn't want the bill to pass because it would help the country. Donald Trump has said himself that he wants the economy to go into shambles and plummet. Why would he do that if it was Make America First? Because he cares more about himself than he cares about this country. That's the bottom line.
Well, and the other thing, too, Brian, that really upsets me is I like Senator Langford. He's a friend. And I think that what he's done, and all of a sudden, it's not ever easy to be in a group of people that have different opinions. But it's like, again, with what Amy said, you have to collaborate. It's like there were times I didn't get along with my brother.
Right.
We had arguments, but I can guarantee you my mom sat us down and made sure that we got along.
Right.
And
right.
someone needs to go in there and tell these the people that we've elected, you've got to get along because
Absolutely.
next time you won't get reelected.
Well said. I agree with you, TK. Very well said, and you're absolutely right. And you're a lifelong Republican, right?
Yes.
Well, you know what?
First person I ever voted for was Reagan.
Let me tell you something, TK. There are far more Republicans out there that maybe aren't as vocal, but there are a lot of people like you. There are a lot of people like Amy Tarkanian. There are a lot of Republicans out there, particularly those in Nevada today on primary day, that feel disenfranchised. They feel deserted. They feel like they don't have a party. And those people will not be voting for Donald Trump. I'm not saying they're going to be voting for Joe Biden, but they're not going to be voting for Donald Trump. And if, in fact, which I believe will happen, Donald Trump will not win in November, it's going to be partly because of this reason. It's going to be because Republicans and the MAGA Republicans across the country, they're making Republicans feel disenfranchised and not welcome if they're not all in when it comes to Donald Trump. And that's why Trump is going to lose, and that's why Republicans are losing the popular vote in virtually every presidential election.
Well, what bothers me, Brian, too, is when I hear somebody up on stage getting all this attention talking about unity. You haven't shown me unity.
Yeah, I don't think
you had my name on a poster board saying I can't come in.
Yeah.
And I helped raise a lot of money for Clark County. So to do that to me and to other people, like what Amy was talking about, Lincoln County Commissioner, and another lady, Margaret White, and I don't mind saying her name because she's not going to hesitate at all if she ever had to tell the truth, and that's what she was.
So you were on a list. You were on a list not allowed in the Donald Trump speech that he made here in Las Vegas a few weeks ago. And did they give you a reason why they didn't want you in?
I'll tell you exactly what happened. I was on the list from the Trump people. I was there to represent some clients, okay? Mm-hmm. And so I was on the list, and I happened to tell the other person, I said, I'm going to tell you, I said, when that list gets to Clark County, this is what's going to happen.
Right.
And the person who puts rallies on said, no, they won't do that. And I said, well, just be prepared. And sure enough, names were not on the list. His name wasn't even on the list as well because they now know that he and I work together. And in the meantime, what happened is because of the Trump name that came from Mar-a-Lago, they let us in. And then we go to the other thing, and there was a consultant that stood there and another former candidate that ran for Congress that didn't win, that represents the Latinos. Yeah. And she just point blank said, TK's not welcome. She can't come in. I mean, they didn't hesitate my name.
Well, I'll tell you what. They wouldn't let me in there. If I was going to see Cheeto Jesus, they wouldn't let me in there either. Listen, that's a dictatorship. And I'm sorry that happened to you. It wouldn't happen in a Biden event. It wouldn't happen in a Kamala Harris event. You could be wearing MAGA gear. What do you think they would say if you were wearing Joe Biden gear, which, by the way, we're not a cult. But if somebody was wearing Joe Biden gear showing up to a Trump rally, you think they'd let them in? Of course they wouldn't. It's the fine line difference, one of many, between MAGA Republicans and Democrats today. TK, I do appreciate your call. I'm sorry that happened to you. You deserve to be treated better. And one of the reasons why another Republican's not going to be voting for Donald Trump. TK, I appreciate your call.
You're welcome, Brian.
Thank you. 70, there's another lifelong Republican that won't be voting for Donald Trump in November. It's not my fault. Whose fault is it? 702-221-7283. Again, that number if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. 702-221-SAVE. Let's go to Joseph, who's next up on Pushing Limits. Hi, Joseph.
First off, always love your show on Facebook. First time caller.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Here's my piece on Trump. Now, the one thing I hate about Trump is the way he calls those Marines suckers and losers. To me, that really upsets me the most, because I do believe in Joe Biden. When I saw him on the news, he was upset as I am.
Right. I want to. Can I have you? Can I play some audio for you? Because
sure.
What you're talking about is a clip that I want to play from Joe Biden, and then I want to get your thoughts on it, sir. If you're willing to be on hold for a minute, is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. So here's what we're going to do here. What I want to do is I want to play some audio from Joe Biden speaking yesterday, talking about what this man is specifically mentioning, and that's Donald Trump calling our brave men and women in uniform suckers and losers. This is the Joe Biden that I want to see. Aggressive Joe Biden, going after Donald Trump for his despicable comments. Here is Joe Biden recently talking about those comments that Trump made about our brave men and women in uniform. Have a listen to this.
This is the guy who, when he was in France, and when they asked him to go to an American cemetery in France in World War II, where Americans were buried, you know what he said? He said those folks buried in that cemetery were suckers and losers. Suckers and losers, the guy said. By the way, that's the... I'm glad I wasn't there. No, I'm serious. I shouldn't say that. I'm glad I wasn't there. To call my son and your sons and daughters who gave their lives to this country suckers and losers. That's how this guy thinks. Who the hell does he think he is?
I love that. I love that, Joe Biden. I want to hear more of that, Joe Biden. And those are the comments, Joseph, that you were just talking about. And I want to see more of that from Joe Biden.
That's what I want to hear, too. As for the border itself, I was hoping the Republicans and the Democrats would have passed that bill, but no thanks to Marjorie Taylor Greene, the big mouth, as I always call her.
Yeah.
And those other Republicans who supported Trump, they just want to be, that's what I hate the most. They just want to be the next Axis powers, like how they did with Germany and Japan and Italy.
Right. You're absolutely right. And again, if Donald Trump picked up the phone today and called Mike Johnson, that idiot, and said, hey, let's pass this bill, all the Republicans would all of a sudden be on board. They will do anything and everything that Donald Trump, the orange turd, says. And that's what's so sad about the far right today. It's just they look up to Cheeto Jesus like he's the next Messiah. And it's not make America first. It never was. It's not make America great again. It never was. It's about make Donald Trump great again. And Donald Trump is going to be a convicted felon. Joseph, I do appreciate your call, my friend. Keep up the fight.
You got it.
I appreciate it, Joseph. Thank you for calling in. Call back anytime. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Why don't we go to Carl next? Carl, thank you for calling into PTL. What's on your mind, my friend?
Hey, you're good, buddy. You're really good. I'm just traveling through from LA to Salt Lake City.
Oh, cool.
And happen to tune you in. And I really think that you're the kind of program that ought to be syndicated throughout the United States.
Well, Carl, that's very kind of you to say. I appreciate that.
Well, I was listening to a major commentator last night, and he is saying that the tide, you don't realize it yet, but the tide is certainly turning. Even though it's minuscule, it's starting to turn away from Trump because of these indictments that are coming, and a convicted rapist, and draining the swamp. All of the swamp people are either indicted or in prison.
Yeah, so Carl, I agree with you. So here's my way of thinking. Here's why I think Joe Biden's going to beat Donald Trump. In 2020, Joe Biden won by millions of votes, right? Popular vote. I don't think you can find me many people out there. There's some, but not many people out there that voted for Joe Biden that would say, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to vote for that orange guy now. Donald Trump is always going to have his MAGA base. They call it the silent majority. I call it the loud minority. Donald Trump is always going to have that base of people where he could literally sodomize a child and people would still vote for him. But in regards to Joe Biden, Listen, there's a lot of rhetoric out there, and a lot of it's lies about the economy. Inflation's down from 9% to under 4% now. We have the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years. Gas prices have been continuing to plummet. Wages are continuing to go up. Those aren't opinions, right? Those are facts. But if you watch Fox News or OAN or Newsmax, they will lead you to believe that the sky is falling, right? Yes, we have issues at the border. However, now Joe Biden could use this to an advantage. MAGA Republicans and Democrats came together at the table. They're negotiating. And they put this bill together. And now the MAGA Republicans out there are attacking the Republicans who helped put this bill together. So you can't run on that anymore. I just don't think there are more people out there that are going to vote for Donald Trump this time around than they did in 2020. He's going to have his MAGA base, but I still think Joe Biden wins.
Yeah, I thought America was, that's the way America was supposed to run, was by, Republican and Democrat putting together a bill. And now to see that Trump says no, trash it because it might put him at a disadvantage to, your commentary about it's all about Trump. It's not about saving America, or really it's about how he gets ahead. I heard last night a commentator say there's only two types of people that vote for Donald Trump. They're either ignorant or they're stupid. And he said the ignorant are the ones that vote for him after all of this evidence is starting to show, and the way he handles himself and around women and every way you look at it. And he says those are the ignorant, and the stupid are the ones that contribute to him and vote for him.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's also a percentage of people out there that like his bigotry. They like his hatred and bigotry, and they might be bigoted, hate. Let's be honest. I'm not saying every Trump supporter is ignorant. I've never said that. But I will say this. The base of the MAGA party is middle-aged, white people that are uneducated. That's just the bottom line. That's his base. And I'm glad that I'm not a part of it. I'm glad that you're not a part of it. There are good Republicans out there. We had Amy Tarkanian on earlier today, the former Nevada Republican chair. She's not a part of that. That is the base of the Republican Party today, the MAGA base of the party. There are good Republicans out there, and they are being disenfranchised today in the state of Nevada, and they will not be voting for Donald Trump, and that's one of the reasons why Trump is not going to win in November, sir. Thank you for finding this program, and thank you for calling in, and safe travels, okay, my friend?
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you.
Good work.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the kind comments. 702-221-7283, and again, the number to call, 702-221-SAVE. If you would like to be a part of the program. I believe we have Lynetta. Lynetta is next on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Lynetta. Thank you for calling in to PTL. What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian. How you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind?
You know, I try to watch your show as much as possible because your show be deep and interesting.
Well, thank you.
So I just wanted to say I never liked Trump. You know, I felt he was an amazing businessman, but when it came to becoming a president, I never thought that he would get in office. So that was like a shocker to me. And then I'm like, how was he getting away with all the stuff that went on? You know what I'm saying, at the White House for the riot? All these people going to jail, but he's not going to jail. And then when they tried to discredit the ladies that came up saying that he sexually assaulted them. So it's like, wow, you're just getting away with murder. So you're showing the other citizens, hey, it's okay for us to be high up and we can get away with this and we can get away with that. I am like really stressed out about the fact when he was disrespectful to the soldiers. Yeah. My cousin, he's a command sergeant major in the military. He's now stationed in Georgia. You know, he fought and did a couple of tours in the military, in the war, Iraq and Afghanistan. Wow. My cousin, Dr. Bates, his wife, she fought in there, and they suffer from PTSD. You know what I'm saying? She's retired now, and she's now a doctor. Yeah. So it's like you're talking about these people that has lost their loved ones in the military. You know what I'm saying?
Horrible. Lynetta, first of all, your friend is a hero, right? And let's start out by saying that. And number two, when Donald Trump said if you recall, Lynetta, back in 2015, 2016, when he said he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured, that should have been enough for anybody to say, you know what, regardless of what I feel about policy disagreements, I can't vote for somebody who would crap on our military like that and say, I don't respect somebody. This is the same guy, by the way, as you know, who dodged the military several times, claiming bone spurs because Donald Trump is a coward and he's never fought for anything in his life to help others, only himself.
And then he's not even educated. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, I know that you Like I listened to the other lady you was talking to, and you was like, "You don't say I said something. I did not say that." And I was like, "She's missing the whole point."
Well, that's what they do. That's what they do with people that they disagree with. They lie. They lie.
Yes, and they take things and they turn from it. You're giving your statement. You're giving your coverage on Trump. What do people think about Trump? What do people think about Biden? Yes, people look at, okay, Biden's up in age, but Biden has been in the system for a very long time, you know what I'm saying, working with the White House, a very long time.
Right.
He knows the ins and outs. He's been there. He's done that. Even when he tried to help the people, the community, not just African Americans, Latinos, whoever that went to college that actually, you know what I'm saying, had those student loans, he tried to help those people during COVID. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so they overturn it. The Republicans is always overturning anything that he does. You know, he can't do it by himself. Yeah, he's the president, but the bill has to be passed.
Yeah.
Like, why do you guys keep overturning something?
Yeah,
help him. You know what I'm saying? Help him with the citizens so that
Sure.
we can live right, live better,
it's
and
not,
try to focus.
Lynette, it's not make America great again. You know, Donald Trump
It's
said
not.
he wants the economy to implode. He doesn't want to pass this immigration bill. It's about making Donald Trump great again. Donald Trump was never great. He never will be great. He can wear his 5 layers of orange makeup. But you know, the bottom line here is he'll always be a disgrace to this country. And that's what they should put on his tombstone when he passes away. Lynette, where are you calling from, by the way?
I am calling from Romulus, Michigan, and when you said my friend, that's my cousin. My cousin is Dr. Bates, and her husband
Oh, okay,
is Command
cool.
Sergeant Major.
Well, your cousin
Yeah,
is a
that's my
hero.
family.
Your cousin is a hero.
Yes, they
and,
both are.
And if not for people like them, I wouldn't be able to talk on the radio every day. And they're
Listen,
heroes.
my father fought in the Vietnam War, so
Oh,
I
wow.
come back from a military background. So yes, I take
Wow.
my hat off to
Yeah.
take my hat off to my pops, man. He rest in peace.
Mhm.
Like I said, I really love your show. Your
Thank
show
you.
is always informative. It is amazing.
Thank you.
And people they need to listen to what you're saying instead of just jumping
Well,
to conclusions
they listen.
on what you're trying to break down.
I appreciate your comments. They need to listen to what you say too, and you have a family full of heroes, and I appreciate them. Thank them for their service. Thank you, Lynette, for your phone call. I appreciate you.
You have a blessed day.
Thank
God bless you.
You too. God bless you
You're
as well. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Patrick. Patrick is next on Pushing the Limits. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, Brian. Hey, I just thought I'd real quick briefly remind the previous caller that it was Joe Biden in 1994 that altered the crime bill that wasn't so good for a lot of Americans, and it was President Trump who did prison reform. And it wasn't Obama. It wasn't a Democrat. It was Donald J. Trump.
So I think you can go through any presidency, Patrick, and disagree with certain policies that may not have worked, and that is a fair conversation to have. However, Patrick, when you have...
He was a senator. He wasn't a president.
Patrick,
he was a senator when he authored that.
If you're a politician, okay, if that pleases you, we can agree or disagree with policy. That's okay. We can have those conversations. But what that last caller just mentioned is something that I want to ask you. When Donald Trump said that he didn't respect John McCain because he was captured, what did you make of that statement? And are you willing to, on the air today, admit that that was a despicable statement to make and it should have never been made? Are you willing to admit that?
Do you not have any kind of sense of humor at all?
Okay, so let's go with that, Patrick.
It's kind of like
Let's
the whole
go
thing
with that.
about
So,
only
Patrick,
black-
your idea, Patrick, of a sense of humor, and by the way, nobody was laughing in that room. When Donald Trump made that statement, when the other person on the stage heard it and the crowd, nobody was laughing. There were moans. Your idea of a sense of humor is making fun of somebody's service in this nation as a POW. And Patrick, that's your definition of a sense of humor? You think that that is appropriate for somebody who is president or running for president to say, I don't respect somebody because they were captured, and your excuse to that statement, and clearly you're not willing to call it out, your excuse to that statement is, don't you have a sense of humor? Is that what you're saying on this show right now, Patrick?
You lack substance. You can't talk about the issues.
Sir,
All you're doing is criticizing.
pot him
and being
down.
critical.
I will talk about the issues, but you are deflecting. If you'd like to talk about the issues, here's an issue. I don't want somebody running for office, and I don't want somebody being the leader of the free world who says they don't respect a brave man or woman service member because they're captured. That's an issue. An issue is the man who you support is facing 91 felony counts. An issue is the man who you support who is now a liable sexual abuser. An issue is the man who you support who still says the 2020 election is stolen. An issue is the man who you support who attacks Gold Star families, POWs, attacks people of color, says and has said on the record, by the way, that he doesn't want black people counting his money in his casinos. He wants Jews counting his money. An issue is an immigration bill that is going to be passed, but the reason why it's not going to be passed is because Donald Trump doesn't want this country to succeed. Donald Trump wants the economy to implode. He's admitted that. So those are a bunch of issues that I just laid out for you. And sir, by the way, for you to say that I don't have a sense of humor and you to defend somebody who attacks a brave man or woman who serves this country honorably and attacks them and says they don't respect them because they've been captured speaks volumes about who you are, Patrick, as a human being. I have a sense of humor. There is nothing funny about attacking anybody who serves this country and saying you don't respect them because they were captured. Not only is that not funny, but it is despicable. And the fact that you're not willing to admit that says you're deplorable, Patrick.
Hey, you watch Larry David at all?
What does Larry David have to do with what I just said?
Well, he had an episode on the same thing that he was upset that his attorney wasn't a Jew. It was a joke. I mean,
you're comparing. So hold on a second. Let me just explain for all of you listening right now. Patrick is trying to compare Larry David, who's a professional comedian on a show, to Donald Trump, who's running for office, who says he doesn't respect John McCain because he was captured. If it was a joke, why didn't Donald Trump laugh? Let me also ask you another question, because this is the defense I get from Donald Trump people, right, like yourself. When Donald Trump talked about, okay, please, I get the same thing from MAGA buffoons like you. Hold on. No, I want to keep Patrick on. Hey, Patrick, when Donald Trump in a coronavirus press conference talked about the possibility of injecting yourself with okay, was that a joke, Patrick? Was he making a joke?
He was making a point, but
a point about what?
You're
that you can. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not taking
42.
anything. Isn't it interesting that when I call out Donald Trump for his own words, they say you're taking it out of context, or he was just making a joke? Hey, Patrick, you're a right-wing MAGA buffoon of the week. You make excuses for the orange turd every chance you get. You don't have him accountable for anything. Do you have a joke you'd like to make about sexual assault? Do you have a joke about E. Jean Carroll? Let me guess, that's your next go-to, right? You're going to discredit E. Jean Carroll. Donald Trump can do no wrong. Was that a joke as well? When you a sexual assault of a woman, is that a joke?
What year did E. Jean Carroll get raped? What
year did E. Jean Carroll get raped? That's your defense of this case? That's your defense? Guess what, Patrick? Thank God there wasn't. Thank God they didn't. Thank God they didn't have a MAGA. Thank God they didn't have a MAGA buffoon. Thank God they didn't have a. Pot her down. Thank God they didn't have a MAGA buffoon as part of the jury like you, Patrick. Thank God that the jury disagreed with you. Thank the Lord. The fact, Patrick, that you would make an excuse for get rid of Patrick, deplorable Patrick. The fact that you would make an excuse for Donald Trump when it comes to attacking a POW, and you can't even admit that was a despicable statement, and you think that somehow that's a joke, let me tell you something. Anybody who served this country, Republican or Democrat, anybody who is the victim of being a POW, anybody like that, the fact that you would make a joke about that or you would defend a joke about that says everything we need to know about Patrick. Holy smokes. Who are we going to next? 702-221-7283. Let's go to Gary. Gary, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
What's up, Gary? What's on your mind, my friend?
Yeah, I want to talk about the border. Why doesn't Biden use his executive privileges to close the border?
So what do you think Joe Biden should do if he did use his executive privilege? What do you think he should do? He should just shut everything down? What do you think he should do?
Yeah, we have a crisis at the border. I don't know why no one wouldn't want to shut the border down.
Well, what I prefer over just shutting the border down completely is I prefer Republicans and Democrats coming together, trying to come up with solutions, which, by the way, they have, and they put a bill together that's not perfect. I've gone through it myself, but it helps, and it makes – so let me ask you a question then, because I disagree, and I actually would rather have Republicans and Democrats work together because I think the country works better when Republicans and Democrats work together. When Joe Biden months back asked for $14 billion for more border security agents, which, by the way, every border security agent that I've talked to said it would help. Why it's not the end all and it won't fix anything. Why did Republicans vote against it? Let me ask you that.
So I want to talk about the border. I want to talk about the border bill that we have now going on.
Okay, but can you answer that question for me before I'll answer your question? I'll be glad to. But I want to just ask mine first, sir, if that's okay. When Joe Biden put forth $14 billion trying to allocate that money for more border security agents, why did Republicans vote against it?
What was in that bill?
I just told you what was in it. I just told you.
Aid to Ukraine?
No, that you're talking about the immigration bill now. Months back, Joe Biden was asking for more funds at the border, strictly for more border security agents, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the Ukraine. I'm not talking about the bill put forth right now. Republicans voted against it, and I'm trying to figure out why, and I'm trying to...
It wasn't just that. I guarantee you it wasn't just that.
All right, so you want to answer that
just
question.
Like
you want to answer the question. All right, go ahead. Ask your question.
Just like what is in this bill right now. So why wouldn't our country be better without illegal immigrants? We love migrants, but why does it have to be illegal? It's illegal. I don't get it.
Okay, so first of all, it's not that simple. And number one, do you understand the fact that there are more people in this country illegally that have overstayed their visas than crossed the border illegally? Why do Republicans never talk about that?
Well, there wouldn't be a problem if we just build the damn wall and just
did you hear what,
illegals.
Did you hear what I just said, or did it just go through one ear and out the other? There are more people in this country illegally that overstay their visas, which has absolutely nothing to do with the border wall. Why are you just choosing not to listen, or why do I never hear Republicans talk about that? Does that blow your mind? Because that's a fact.
So we have a president that won't deport illegals.
Okay, so what do you think? We should just deport everybody that's undocumented in this country? Everybody? Just deport everybody. Separate families and just deport everybody.
Yes, and close the border.
Just deport everybody in the country. Gotcha. Okay, so let's go with that. So let's just give an example of somebody that's been in this country illegally for 25 years, never been in trouble with the law other than not being legal in this country. They work hard. They have a family. They have kids. You just want to deport those kids too? Do you want to separate families and just deport everybody that's undocumented? Is that your...
Why would we separate them? Send them all back.
Well, why don't you ask Donald Trump that? That's exactly what he did. He separated families. Thousands of kids were separated from their parents. So maybe you should ask Donald Trump that question, because I think it's a very valid question. Why would you do that? I agree. It's inhumane. Why would you do that? Donald Trump did that when he was in office. Why don't I ever hear people like you complaining about that?
Well, no, I'm saying we should send them back. Why do we have to separate them? We should send them all back.
That's what Donald Trump did.
Why does Biden have the authority to close the border by himself right now?
To an extent, Joe Biden does have the powers if he had to declare an emergency and shut down the border. But what Republicans and Democrats have done is they've come together and put forth this bill that I think would actually help. Now, when you make a generic statement like let's just deport everybody, you're assuming that we know where all these people are and who they are and where they are, which is also not true.
Well, yeah, in my opinion, I just think that we should declare it an emergency based off of Section 212F of the Immigration Naturalization Act.
Okay, well, you're entitled to that opinion, but the only opinion that I think we disagree on some things, but what I would say is that if Republicans, MAGA Republicans, really truly cared about the border, then they would pass this bill, because there's certainly a lot of things in the bill that I have read that would certainly help. It's not the end all. It's not going to fix everything, but I think it's the same.
Like ankle monitors that they could just rip off?
Okay, so first of all, you can't just rip off an ankle monitor. Where did you get that from?
You don't think that they're illegals? They're criminals. They know how to do this.
Sir,
that's like you
there
can't
are a lot of
bugs.
Sir, how do you rip off an ankle monitor? Like it's a sock. What are you talking about? You
That's
can't
like how do you escape prison out of Alcatraz? People's done it, right? I can't tell you a strategy how to do that.
You're
I'm not a
comparing.
criminal.
Well, you just said you could just rip it off, so that's obviously not true.
Oh, come on.
Well,
Not the political correctness.
No, don't come on me. You're making the claim that it's easy to take off an ankle monitor. And by the way, I've made the claim, and something that you've refused to address because I don't think you truly know how many people overstay their visas in this country. You haven't even addressed it. I've said that if you have a visa in this country, an ankle monitor wouldn't be a bad idea, so we know where these people are. And if it was so easy to take off an ankle monitor, like as you characterize as just rip it off or take it off, which by the way is not true, then every criminal in this country would be doing it. It's not that easy to do, and I actually think that would actually help the country, and that would be a good thing. But for some reason,
just like they should be appearing at court, but well, they don't do that either.
How could they appear? How could they appear in court if they have to go back to Mexico?
They don't send them back.
That's what Donald Trump did. You don't know the facts. When Donald Trump was in office, when they were awaiting court dates, he still sent them back to Mexico and didn't allow them to remain in this country. And guess what happened? A lot of those people never came back.
It's still happening under Biden.
And then when
Nobody's going to court. None of these illegals.
And then when they did come back, it was after their court appearance. So in my personal opinion, yes, I do believe that people should have to appear in court. People have to uphold the law if they're in this country illegally. But if you send them back, then eventually they do come back after their court appearance, and we lose track of where they are and who they are. That's what Donald Trump did. That was part of his administration. That's what he did. If they have a court appearance, nope, let's send them back first. Guess what? Not only do they not appear for their court appearance, but eventually they do come back illegally. That's not solving the problem. We can disagree.
Well, that's fine. Well, the whole thing, I mean, I just think that, I mean, why do we need them to come back? Why do they need a court appearance? Just send them back.
Why do we need them to come back? I think a large majority of these people are not bad people. They are good people. Would you disagree with that characterization?
So why did we send them back to Mexico in the first place?
Again, that's another question you need to ask Donald Trump. Are you a Donald Trump supporter? I mean, I don't know. I don't know whether you're a Republican or Democrat.
Because it's illegal. It's a crime.
Okay, nobody's debating that. The world is round, and it is a crime to come into this country undocumented illegally. I agree with you. Democrats and Republicans, some, have put forth a bill that would help this issue, and MAGA Republicans refuse to pass the bill. I appreciate the call.
Let me ask you a question. Why do you want illegals?
When did I say I want illegals? When have I ever said that in my 20-year career on the radio?
Obviously, this bill is going to be allowing at minimum 5,000
Not true.
illegals.
See, there you go. Okay, there you go. I was waiting for misinformation. You have no idea what you're talking about. That has been debunked, and that is not in the bill. Have a nice day, sir. Holy smokes. I was just waiting for the misinformation to come out. He listens to Steve Scalise and Fox News and OAN and Newsmax. That does not allow 5,000 illegal. You're wrong. That's been debunked. Why don't you read the bill and then call me back? Holy smokes. Let's go to Henry. Henry's next on Pushing the Limits. What's up, Henry?
Yeah, perfect. Speaking of reading the bill, I got it right in front of me. So
Great.
We'll start.
Great.
It's $118 billion, correct? $118.28 billion.
Are you asking me a question, or are you reading the bill that's right in front of you? Well, if you had the bill right in front of you, why don't you just read it, sir?
Okay, so $16 billion to support Ukraine.
Yes.
Not a word about the border.
Not a word. Whoa. Hold on. Stop right there. You're taking a page from the Julie MAGA playbook.
No, these are facts.
No.
You can't
pot him down, and I think I know who this is, by the way. This isn't Henry calling in. He's a coward, and he uses another name. I know who this is that's calling in. By the way, sir, you just said not a word about the border. In the bill, I could name you a bunch of sanctions, a bunch of new laws that would be implemented, and more money for the border. So when you say not a word about the border, you are misinformed. What are you talking about?
Okay, what exactly did you cite? Cite me what you found out.
Are you claiming that you have the bill in front of you, which, by the way, you don't?
I got the whole breakdown of all the financials.
Got you. So there's nothing in that bill that addresses the border? Not one thing?
Out of $118 billion, there's $20 billion to address the existing operational needs and expand
you just said nothing
at our nation's border.
Okay, so you're contradicting yourself. You just said nothing addresses the border, did you not?
No, I'm breaking down the first $60 billion is going to Ukraine. Not a word about it in the border.
Okay.
The next $14 billion is going to Israel. Not
correct.
a word about the border.
Okay, so
$2 billion.
You just said $20 million.
Not a word about the border.
You just said
$10 billion.
Okay, so you're not going
humanitarian.
Gotcha. Okay. So Henry, you obviously just you kind of just lied on the air. You just said nothing addresses the border, and then you just contradicted yourself, and you claim you have the bill in front of you, which, by the way, you don't. You just have some highlights from a right-wing network that you probably copied and pasted, and your name's not Henry either. So you call into this show shadowing another name. I wonder why you would do that. I have about a minute here. Let's go to Roy. Roy, what's up?
Hi, Brian. How you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
Look, this is not a cure-all, but it's certainly a start. As far as the border goes, there are a lot more things that could be done.
Sure.
But what irritates me is Donald Trump says don't support it, and his minions follow. And, so many people who vote for Donald Trump are absolutely clueless about his felonies, about all the crap that this man has done. And the man is a moron, by the way. He's not just I mean, you talk about a businessman. The guy has 6 bankruptcies.
Yeah.
That to me is not a good businessman.
How do you? But
what's
Roy,
very
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask you something. I just had a guy call in who said this doesn't address anything in the border, and then literally 30 seconds later, he talks about money that is addressing the border. I mean, how do I have a conversation with somebody like that?
You can't. You can't. Just remember, I've told you can't fix stupid.
Yeah.
But aside from that, what was very interesting today is that the appeals court declined Trump's ability to claim immunity on everything. And he has to go to the Supreme Court by February 12th.
Right.
There is a really good chance that he could be a convicted felon at the very same time that they're having the Republican nomination. Instead of Milwaukee, maybe they'll move it to Leavenworth or Sing Sing. But don't these people realize that this man is going to be a convicted felon? Is this the man you want to be the most powerful man in the world?
I would say there's a small percentage of MAGA deplorables that would say yes. They would say yes.
But what happens if he's a convicted felon? Do they still allow him to be wouldn't it be kind of embarrassing to nominate a convicted felon?
It's a good question, and I think maybe I'll ask my next guest that question. If you want to remain on hold, you're welcome to, because we will be taking some calls, and I think that's a really good question that you asked. So, Roy, you're welcome to remain on hold if you'd like. You could ask my next guest that. Thank you, Roy. All right, we're going to put you back on hold. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to reset. Everybody that's waiting on hold, sit tight. Coming up next, her name is Eva Chase. She's running for Nevada State Assembly District 16 as a Democrat, and she is a transgender. And I want to talk to her also about the hateful rhetoric being put forth on the far right about transgenders and others. And I want Roy to ask that question to Eva when she comes in studio. I'll take a quick break. Be back in 90 seconds. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie?
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits, and it is a Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a lot of different political candidates that join me in studio. We just had the former Nevada Republican chair, Amy Tarkanian, joining us in the first hour. And we're taking more phone calls, but my special guest that's joining me in studio right now, she's running for Nevada State Assembly District 16. Her name is Eva Chase. Her story is interesting. She is a transgender woman, and I talk about these issues all the time on the show, the far right that attacks the LGBT community. I say far right. Not every Republican does that, but those on the far right do. Eva Chase joining us in studio right now. Eva, I appreciate you being here. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Boy, we talk about a lot of serious topics on this show. First of all, tell me, you got like 7,000 votes last time you ran, right?
Well, I revisited it and found out I got a little over 7,200. So
That's
wow.
awesome. And
yeah.
You're very new to politics, and the fact that it's got to make you feel good that 7,200 people went to the ballot box and they voted for you. They want you to represent them, and we're going to try to get you over 10,000 this time around. Why did you decide to run for Nevada State Assembly District 16?
Well, Brian, the reason why I want to run for District 16 is because in my district I see a lot of inconsistencies.
Mm-hmm.
We need better public schools in our district.
Sure.
And too much public money is being wasted on baseball stadiums and charter schools.
Sure.
Also, I believe that the veterans in our district are not getting a fair shake.
Mm-hmm.
There are too many homeless veterans out there, and being a veteran myself, I want to help the veterans.
I think that's great, and you know, I've talked a little bit about Donald Trump, about how he's kind of poo-pooed on the veterans, losers, suckers. I don't respect him because he was captured. I don't know how any veteran could vote for Donald Trump. I really don't. But what do you think? Maybe we could have some of the listeners ask you some questions. What do you think about that?
Oh, I'm sure. I'd love to.
Let's do that. And I agree with everything you said about our brave men and women in uniform. I talk about them every day. And when anybody like a Donald Trump says negative things about those kinds of people, I get very, very angry. And I know you do as well.
Yes.
All right. So Roy was on hold. He called in, and he had a really good question. I wanted to ask you this question. Roy, go ahead. Thanks for waiting.
No problem. Hello, Eva. How are you?
Hi, Roy. How you doing?
Okay. I had asked Brian, I mean, how does it sound and how does it look if Donald Trump is a convicted felon and the Republican Party nominates him for the presidency of the United States? Isn't it rather an embarrassing situation? But that could very well and probably will happen.
What do you think about that, Eva?
Well, first of all, I think it's a travesty. Anyone that could be a convicted felon or even an accused felon should not have the privilege and the right and the honor to represent our wonderful country as our executive leader and unquestionably the leader of the free world. So, and it also from a down area level, it also shows, it gives the wrong impression to children, because when we're growing up, we're taught to do the right thing, be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, you will be successful in life. What does this tell you? You're supporting a criminal? Can't do it.
And it, also, I mean, people are still, kids today, they're supposed to look up to the President of the United States. It's hard to look up to that man.
Yeah.
And you know what, though? The Supreme Court has the ability to stop all this crap from happening. And we'll see if they have the guts to do the right thing.
Yeah. Amen, brother. I appreciate the call, Roy. You're absolutely right. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Good
very
luck
much.
to you, Eva.
Thank you, Roy.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Roy, for the phone call.
You're welcome.
All right, Eva Chase joining us in studio, running for Nevada State Assembly District 16, transgender woman. Last time she ran, she got, like I said, over 7,200 votes. So she has a lot of support here. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Jennifer. Jennifer is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Jennifer. Thanks for calling in.
Hi. So I'm from Spokane, Washington. I'm transgender male female as well.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, and this is directed at Eva besides you, Brian, but what do you guys think of like Riley Grace and the fact that like she attacks transgender and the transgender athletes, especially in the schools?
What do you think about that, Eva?
Unfortunately, I didn't get the whole question. What was the whole question?
Go ahead, Jennifer, and repeat it.
I'm sorry, Jennifer.
What do you think about Riley Grace, about the fact that she attacks like transgender athletes in the schools, like saying like, for example, I'm male to female. So if I were to join a female's basketball team, she would say that's a no-go because it's unfair for the competition, even though like there's studies in like Canada states, hey, I've been on estrogen for so many years that my testosterone level is quite low.
Well, Jennifer, as with you, I'm in the same boat that you are. I've been transitioning for, well, this will be 5 years now. And my estrogen level's a whole lot higher than my testosterone level. Through everything you can do, I've done it. And if I told you what I've done, I'm probably preaching to the choir.
I want to ask both of you this question, though, because you might disagree with me on this. And you know me, Eva. You've known me for years now. I'm very pro-LGBT community. I'm very pro-transgender. I want people to do what they want. I want people to be happy, and I would never tell them what to do. With that being said, when it comes to professional sports, college sports, high school sports, I do believe if you're born a man, transition to a woman, I don't want those people competing with people that are born women, because I do feel like it's unfair and it's unfair advantage, even if you've been on estrogen and those types of things for decades and decades and decades. That's just how I feel personally. Doesn't mean I don't want them to live their life and be happy. If you want to scrimmage with people, and compete at those, whatever, I don't have a problem with that. Jennifer, do you disagree with me on that? Because I think if you're born a man, transition to a woman, look at Leah Thomas, for example. Now, Leah Thomas didn't have the full surgery, but as a man, she's over 400th in the country as a college swimmer. As a woman, she's number 1. I think that's a perfect example of how there are instances where it's unfair. What do you guys think about that? What do both of you think about that?
Jennifer, would you like to go first?
Sure. Well, from my understanding is, yes, that person may have been 400 and now they're first. But if you come to think about it, though, what makes up gender? Gender is chromosomes. Chromosomes makes up gender. Our chromosomes is also what makes up our body mass and all that. Mm-hmm. So when we determine that, it's determined by science, not by facts. When you look at it from a factual statement, the person may have been not really good in a male conversation as now in a female. What changed?
Well,
so,
I look at Leah Thomas and I see what Leah Thomas looks like, and she's very muscular, very large. And I'm not saying a woman can't be muscular. All I'm simply saying is, are you comfortable with a boxer or an MMA fighter, born a man, transition to a woman, fighting with those that are born women? Are you comfortable with that? Because I'm not sure I am.
Well, for me, I wouldn't say I wouldn't be comfortable in those kind of sports, but I'm talking about sports like basketball, soccer.
Okay.
Sports that promote fair competition, that have rules that aren't about fighting, that aren't about beating people up.
I hear you, and I understand what you're saying, but do you think there's anybody in the WNBA that can compete in the NBA? Because I don't. I'm trying to be fair here, but I don't.
I'm not for sure if I know anybody in the WNBA that could compete in the NBA.
Why do you think that? And why? And I'll ask Eva this too. Why do you think that is, though, Jennifer? Why do you think that is? Why? Why do you think that we don't see a lot of women competing in the NBA?
Because I don't see a lot of transgender female to males transitioning or going into sports.
Right. There's a few. I agree with you. But I listen, I guess, and Eva, why don't you answer? Because I want to hear your opinion on this.
There are some very fine women basketball players right here in Las Vegas.
Sure.
We got
world
Asia
champions.
Wilson, world champion.
Absolutely.
We got Kelsey Plum.
Sure.
We got Jackie Young. I mean, we've got Chelsea Gray. We got the point guard, right?
But I don't think they'd be able to compete in the NBA.
No, I think Asia Wilson, as physically strong as she is, she would get beat up in the NBA just like Manute Boo,
Manute Ball.
Manute Boo got beat up in the 80s because he was thin and bones.
And it wouldn't be physically fair.
No, it would not be fair.
I just want things to be fair. And Jennifer, I want you to do whatever you want to your body. That's legal, of course. I want you to be happy. I support you. Just when it comes to physical sports, we're not talking about playing checkers here, right? That would be different. We're not talking about the mind.
Right.
If we're just talking about the mind, I'm with you 150%. If we're talking about a physical, even golf, there's a reason why men, drive the golf ball, the average 330 yards, and the average woman drives it 260. It's strength. Doesn't mean that there aren't a lot of women out there that could outdrive me. They could, but I'm also not a professional golfer. But Jennifer, it's a very good conversation. I think we need to have more conversations like this. And I want to get rid of the bigotry and the hatred of people treating people differently because they're transgender. It's disgusting. I will always be on your side. I always will be on your side. And I appreciate your phone call, Jennifer. And Eva's going to be joining us on the show every month. She's going to be coming in. And I want you to continue to call in, okay?
I will. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate your call. All right, they're calling in. They want to ask you questions.
One quick thing,
Sure,
Jennifer,
sure.
thank you for calling in. I do want to add one quick comment, is that I'm currently training for a marathon. This will be my 8th marathon. And before I transitioned, I wasn't taking anything, and I got beat by a whole lot of women.
I believe it.
So now,
They would beat me too.
Yes, they will beat me now.
There's a lot of great female athletes out
Yes.
there, and I would not discount that one bit. All I
Yes.
want is fairness and an equal playing field.
I agree.
And I also want people to do what they want with their bodies and live their life, and I want to leave them alone. So
Definitely.
I think we can do both.
Yes, we can.
All right, we agree. 702-221-7283. Eva Chase joining me in studio. She's running for Nevada State Assembly District 16 as a transgender woman. Let's go to RJ. RJ, you're next on Pushing the Limits. Hi, RJ.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today?
Good. What's on your mind?
Hey, I had a couple questions. I've heard about this a few weeks ago, and then they said they were going to try to go after him, and then I still haven't heard anything. That's why I want to ask you. I heard a lot of his businesses. He was associated with Donald Trump, that he wasn't allowed to make money while he was running for president. That's one thing. I heard that on CNN about 4 or 5. Of course, CNN covers it, and Fox never wants to cover anything like that ever.
Yeah, sure. Sure.
And then one more thing I heard. He's taking a lot of that money, which is getting donated, and he's using that for his legal bills. How's that allowed?
Two really good questions. Eva, you want to start there? I'm sure you have something to say about that. Trump making money when he was in office.
Yes, there's the emoluments clause. When you become the president, you have to divest from all of your businesses. Example, when Jimmy Carter became president, he gave his peanut farm operations in charge of his brother Billy, who was also doing Billy Beer. But Jimmy Carter didn't make anything off peanut farming while he was in the White House. What Trump did, he put his sons in charge of his businesses. And while Trump was in the White House, he got at least $6.5 million from the Chinese, and at least 20 other foreign countries gave him millions of dollars when they stayed at the D.C. hotel that he owned, which he conveniently sold
and I was gonna
left with office.
I was going to bring that up.
Yes.
So, RJ, let's not even mention, we should mention the billions of dollars that Jared Kushner received from the Saudi government, the $600 million that Donald Trump's daughter received from the Chinese government on trademarks, and Eva, rightfully so, talking about the money that Trump received from foreign governments in excess of probably $10 million. I think they said $8 million, and they said it's probably more. And then when asked about it, Donald Trump's family member, Eric Trump, said that, oh, no, we gave that back to the U.S. Treasury, when in actual, they gave back less than 10% to the U.S. Treasury. So, RJ, you're absolutely right. Eva, you're right. Donald Trump took advantage, hundreds of millions of dollars, in my opinion. And when you look at Jared Kushner and the money he took from the Saudis, it's funny how MAGA Republicans never want to talk about that, but they want to say the Biden crime family. And then when you bring up Donald Trump and all the money that he took from foreign entities, oh, no, that's George Soros. That's a lie. That's fake news.
Yeah, they always, the one thing about the MAGA, anything you bring anything like, they always want to try to cover it up. That's what I noticed.
Yeah. Well, one thing.
And, Fox News, they never want to cover that. You know that.
Yeah, you're right about that. If there's one thing Donald Trump is really good at covering up, it's his face with his 5 layers of orange makeup. But I appreciate the call.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I have a good nickname for him. I know you got a bunch of nicknames. My favorite one is the sore loser. The sore loser.
Well, he definitely is a sore loser. I prefer orange turd, but I'll use sore loser just for you, RJ. Okay.
Okay, yeah, and I love your Cheeto Jesus.
Thanks, RJ. I'll use that one too. Appreciate the call, my friend. Thank
Have
you.
a good one.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
All right.
Take care, RJ.
Why don't we take one more? Again, in studio, Eva Chase. She's running for Nevada State Assembly District 16. As a transgender woman, she received 7,200 votes last time she voted, when really nobody knew who she was. And I would like to see that double. And I think we can get 14,000 people. That's got to feel pretty good, though, right? It's kind of like when I see, we have 50,000 views a day of this show. Every day. 50,000 views on social media and so on. And it feels good to know, even people that disagree with me, that they're watching and they listen. And to have 7,200 people go to the polls for you, that's got to feel pretty good.
Oh, yes, it does. It lets you know your message is being listened to.
Yeah.
People agree with you. Not everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
But you are trying to get the word out to make the world better for everybody. And that's
Amen.
the only reason I'm running, Brian.
Amen. And I love that. Okay, let's take another phone call. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Sean. Sean is next up on Pushing the Limits. Hi, Sean.
Hey, Brian. Hello. Hey, Teresa.
How you doing, Sean? We got Eva Chase in studio.
Great.
What's up, Sean?
How are you?
Good.
Good. I just want to kick this scenario by you. Trump is doing a pretty good job at kicking the lawsuit can down the road, it seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want there to be justice. But as the nominee, I sleep at night thinking or knowing that he should lose the popular vote. And he's got nothing but a year or 8 months of hurt coming his way. And if that's the case, even if he does push these lawsuits down the road, at least there might be some accountability at some point.
Mm-hmm.
In another scenario, if a Nikki Haley or if somebody else were to come in there, they've already said, well, we would pardon him. So I'm kind of rooting for him to be the nominee. Do you agree?
What do you think, Eva? Why don't you answer that first?
That's a really good angle. I think that the American people, at least 64% of the American people, do not want Donald Trump to be president again.
Mm-hmm.
But
agreed.
If he were to get the nomination, I think it would be an embarrassment for our country and the rest of the world, and especially with countries that are in NATO with us, that we're all on the same team. And I would rather see him already have some kind of a conviction and not take a chance on him being able to win an election, because he's slippery. He's slippery as an eel. And knowing him, if he got in the White House, he'd pull some kind of shenanigans to get out of these legal things. He's doing it now.
Here's what I want.
Absolutely.
Here's what I want. No, I don't want him to be the nominee. Here's what I want. I want him to be in jail every day in his cell eating his grilled cheese sandwich. I want him to be in an orange jumpsuit because I think it matches his skin color very well. I want him to pay for the crimes that I believe he has committed, and I want him to suffer because I believe he enjoys watching other people suffer. He enjoys watching other people go through hell. I want Donald Trump to go through hell and see what it's like. And that's what I now, do I think that's going to happen? Probably not. But I do believe he will be a convicted felon. And I do believe the chickens are coming home to roost. Everybody around him, the Rudy Giulianis, the Michael Cohens, the Roger Stones, the Mark Meadows, the Sidney Powells, all these people that have been around him, the Jenna Ellises, they're all suffering now. They're all embarrassed. They're either filing for bankruptcy, some of them going to jail or needing a pardon. It's Donald Trump's turn. And the justice system, I believe, will prevail.
I probably pray that you're right. I don't know. I hope it catches up with him. But if he wins, it's not good. And if a Nikki Haley goes in there again, I think he's going to skirt justice. I just want to see.
I'm worried.
Right.
I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm worried, just like you are. I just hope you're wrong, if that makes sense. And we'll have to wait. But listen, the next 7 or 8 months, I ain't changing what I'm going to do. We're both going to call out, injustice. We're going to call out the lies, the hatred, the bigotry, and let's hope that there are more good Americans than bad Americans in this country that can vote their conscience and their moral compass. Sir, I do appreciate your phone call. Thank you so much.
Keep fighting the fight.
That's
Take
right,
care.
my friend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for the call. So, Eva, I want to give you the opportunity now, because we have a few minutes left here. because I do support you and your candidacy, and I did vote for you, and I want you to give out the information. How can people learn more about you? How can people support your campaign?
First of all, thank you for voting for me, Brian.
Of course,
I'm very honored that you did that, your civic duty in my honor.
Absolutely.
I thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So how can people find me? First of all, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. And I'm very active on all of these social medias. And of course, you can find me on this very fine radio station with
Thank
this
you.
very fine host.
Thank you.
About once a month, and he runs my commercials.
Yep.
And believe me, I will be here until the primary in June with commercials, doing interviews. If Brian will have me back, and
Absolutely.
I hope he will.
Absolutely.
And you can also, you'll be able to find me whenever I come to, especially when I come to political events, public events. I will be there, get the opportunity to speak to everybody. I want to talk to everyone and know what is important to you as an individual voter. It's not what it's not what I think. I don't represent me. I represent you, the people that vote for me, and the people who aren't even in my district. I represent the people in the state of Nevada, period. That's my job as a public official.
And I appreciate your service to this great country. And, you know, I want, as I say this every day, and I mean it, it doesn't matter whether you're a Republican or Democrat. Are you a good human being? Are you a good person? Do you care about the community? Do you care about this country? Do you care about our democracy? And I know you do. And that's why I support you. And, you know, I support some Republicans out there as well, even though these days it seems like they're few and far between. As long as you're not a MAGA Republican, I'll support you. But, yeah, I appreciate you, Eva. I appreciate you coming in. And I know we'll always have a lot to get to next time. And I appreciate you being here. I wish you luck in your campaign. You'll be back soon. And I'll be back in 22 hours. I'll be back tomorrow.
Can I make one quick comment?
Sure.
Everybody, I want to thank everybody that took your time to call in to our show today. It was very nice of you to ask me questions, and I feel I'm very much appreciative of you doing that. It shows you care about our community, our state, and our country. God bless
Absolutely.
you.
Amen.
And we'll borrow a line from Joe Biden. God bless our troops.
Damn right. Absolutely. Follow me on at PTL Radio Show on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter. If you want to support what I do, click on that Occupy Democrat subscription button. It's only $5 a cup of coffee, and you get personal conversations with yours truly. Thanks for joining us, everybody, and we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Have a great day.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian